Good morning. Your time is 6:14, and want to say good morning to anyone who is just joining us now. There were some technical difficulties, but we are happy to have you back. And woo, that's Dina cheering. We've got a big show today, a big show, including this man who is standing right over here, Mike Eppel, standing by with business. Good morning, my friend. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
Oh, doing well. Hey, listen, Mike, we've had this conversation before about vaccine passports. Remember in the very beginning, and before it was kind of an outright no. Now it's a question mark, maybe.
Yeah, you've got a lot of industry groups, including the airlines themselves, pushing the governments in the United States and here at home to think about more this idea of a temporary, they're calling it temporary, vaccine passport program, where you would have to show proof that you've been inoculated against COVID-19. The thinking is that this will speed up the process of getting air travel back to previous levels, because you wouldn't have to wait around at the gate, for example, to, okay, who's been vaccinated? Who hasn't been? Should you be traveling? Should, people be hesitant to travel? Do you want to go on a plane if you don't know that the person sitting next to you has been vaccinated, for example? The flip side of this, of course, is privacy, equity concerns. There are a lot of issues. Certainly, you can't just all of a sudden say, yeah, it sounds like a good idea. It's going to be debated, and it's going to be interesting to see if they can actually get a program into place in any type of timeline that would make this effective, as vaccines are being, of course, more widely distributed, and the airlines are wanting to get things back. I mean, in the United States, Melanie, for the past week, 1 million Americans per day have been flying.
Which is wild to me. It's wild to me.
Well,
I can't even fathom that.
But you look at the scenes. There's spring break going on in Florida, for example. Some states have really, gotten rid of the mask mandate,
Texas,
for goodness sakes. So I mean, they're pushing ahead.
Okay, so let's bring it back on this side of the border. And being a politician, as we know, is hard anyway. You're going to get criticized regardless. But in the middle of a global pandemic, wow, critique at its finest, right? At its highest.
Yeah, specifically on who is best suited to run the Canadian economy. Of course, there's been speculation about spring election. We're in a minority government, and those typically, last about 2 years at most. So there's been talk about that. So Nanos research looked at public opinion about the Trudeau government. Are they the best stewards of the economy? 33% of Canadians said yes. 24% gave top marks to Erin O'Toole and the Conservatives. Now, I wasn't great in math in high school, but neither of those are passing grades.
Right, correct.
and 26% said they don't trust anybody with the economy right now. Look, we haven't had a budget in 2 years. That's one thing. We are going through the worst economic cataclysm in memory. So it's more about forward projections at this point, and we're still dealing with the pandemic fallout. So it's not a huge surprise that no one is completely sure of which party would be best for the economy right now.
It's a tough question to answer, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So some troubling...
Need strategic plans, for goodness sakes, as opposed to dealing with the current mess.
Clearly, absolutely. Yeah. Yesterday, some troubling news that we are seeing in this industry that we are in. It's shrinking. It's shrinking, and we are seeing Huffington Post, HuffPost Canada yesterday making some big announcements.
Shut down. It was shut down. And it was completely caught 23 staff here in Canada, 47 in the United States. Huffington Post was just recently bought out by BuzzFeed in the United States. They picked it up from Verizon, which bought it from AOL after Arianna Huffington originally sold, I think it was 6 or 7 years ago now. But they're saying they just cannot make up for the losses on the digital space on HuffPost. They had a recent unionization vote, but this apparently was set in stone beforehand. But it was so abrupt. And you talk about the cuts in the media industry, both here in Canada and the United States. And apparently on the video chat, the password was "Spring is here."
I mean, heard that.
Yeah, and it's like, really, like it was just out of the blue. And again, a lot of journalists suddenly found themselves without work very abruptly yesterday.
Which is really sad to see. It really is.
It is.
Mike, as always, appreciate your time today. We're going to check in with you and the wall again tomorrow. I can get a closer look at your backdrop now. It's very, very fun. All these tractors. Okay, thank you, Mike.
See you then.
Coming up next, we're talking about vaccine eligibility, and it's starting to raise some eyebrows as some provinces are allowing younger Canadians to register for a shot, while seniors could be waiting for weeks. We're going to check in with a reporter in Calgary with that story.